This devilish visage is actually the brain of Baki Hanma. Ever since Baki's fierce battle with the primitive man Pickle, Dr. Koreha immediately performed a full-body examination on Baki. While reviewing the brain's CT scans, he was completely stunned by the sight before him. He immediately summoned the neuroscientist Dr. Hayaki, who was also left in utter shock. Upon seeing the images, Baki's denser cerebral walls and convolutions were intertwined like sharp, intersecting blades, as if forming the unmistakable visage of a demon. This was unprecedented in medical history, leading him to reflect on Baki's nature. It must be an exact match for that of a demon. Meanwhile, the demon they were discussing was just out for a stroll. Wherever Baki walked, rats would scurry out of the brush in droves. Elsewhere, since Ali Jia was brutally defeated by Baki, his pride had been utterly shattered. The son of a legendary boxing champion now sat there with tears, snot, and saliva flowing uncontrollably. To comfort him, Kozue held him tightly in her arms, holding him until her clothes were completely drenched in his tears. Only then did Ali Jia's emotions finally begin to settle. When asked why she came to comfort him, Kozue replied without hesitation, it was because of love, but not romantic love. It was a pure and selfless maternal love. Lia was stunned by her words. He never imagined the woman he loved just wanted to mother him. Heartbroken and shattered, he turned and walked away. Early the next morning, as Kozue was leaving for school, she looked up and saw Baki standing there. After an awkward greeting, the two of them walked to school together. Despite not seeing each other for 6 months, their bond remained as strong as ever. As usual, they bickered and played along the way, their hands spinning each other and intertwining instinctively. However, after school, Baki was cornered and extorted by 2 thugs. Saying that Baki refused to hand over his money, the thugs drew their daggers and began to threaten him. In an instant, Baki awakened the Hanma blood within him. His intense bloodlust left the thugs drenched in cold sweat. In a daze, one felt as if the dagger in his hand had shrunk, as if it had turned into a tiny trinket like a keychain. Fortunately, Koreagawa appeared just in time to stop Baki. Otherwise, those 2 thugs would have ended up dead on the street. Later, he took Baki to a cafe, and upon learning of the upcoming duel with Yujiro Hanma, Koreagawa couldn't help but remark that he could finally avenge his mother. These words took Baki back to 5 years ago. First time he challenged his father, he was floored by a single brutal punch.
Do you have any idea? Not a single one, not one. How many times has it been? This is the end. You could have come to get me.
This young woman before us, in her desperate pursuit of Yujiro's affection, went as far as beating her own child every single day. The woman was Ami Akazawa, once the wife of Japan's wealthiest man. But at her wedding gala, she crossed paths with a young Yujiro Hanma, invited by the tycoon to perform in a fighting exhibition. His overwhelming power and technique instantly captivated Mi's heart. At the same time, Yujiro saw something in her eyes. That Ami possessed a deeply cruel nature. This striking contrast piqued his interest, so he audaciously broke into the tycoon's estate and killed him right in front of Mi's eyes.
I'll handle it. I'm sorry.
Ami was in fact Baki's mother. To mold him into an elite warrior, she not only arranged top-tier coaches for Baki, but also provided world-class training facilities. Yet everything she did was never for Baki's sake, but to win the affection of Yujiro Hanma. Baki was merely a tool for her to achieve her own goals. However, Baki's progress failed to satisfy Yujiro. He ordered Ami to go all out in training Baki, warning that if Baki showed such weakness in the next fight, she would never earn his favor again. Stung by the warning, Ami flew into a shameful rage, blaming Baki entirely for her predicament. In her eyes, his weakness was the reason Yujiro didn't love her. Her methods were so cruel that even Koreagawa couldn't bear to watch. Even when beaten black and blue, Baki never blamed his mother. He even tried to use defeating Yujiro as leverage to earn the maternal love he so desperately craved. However, dreams are sweet, but reality is brutal. Before Yujiro, Baki couldn't withstand even a single punch. The crushing power was etched deeply into his very bones. Just as he was about to be killed by his father, his mother finally stepped in. No, she not only threw a punch at Yujiro, but stood tall, openly declaring war against him. In the end, Yujiro Hanma used a lethal bear hug, crushing the life out of Mei right in his arms. This memory, Baki shed a tear. Though his mother had never truly loved him, she gave her life to save him in her final moments. It was this ultimate act of maternal love that fueled his undaunted drive to fight his father. Hearing this, Koreagawa felt a deep sense of shame. He had always viewed Mei as nothing more than a cruel woman. Little did he know it was all just his own wild speculation. He bowed his head and offered an apology to Baki. Baki returned the gesture in kind.
A fate known as the truth, that is. The story of a mother's tenderness. It was never just a one-sided love.